We are starting today's practice with a breathing exercise, pranayama, to first of all just connect to the body and the breath. And secondly, it's a cleansing breath, helps to calm the body down, starts to slow the breath, all kinds of other things for your practice. So it's called alternate nostril breathing, and if you haven't done it before, it might feel a little bit weird, might be a little bit different. Just remain open-minded, try it, see how you feel after. First, you're going to start in a nice comfortable seat. You might want to raise your hips up on a block. If that's more comfortable, you may want to lean against a wall or anything, just because we're going to be here for a while. Wherever you are, find a nice tall spine, relax your shoulders down, heavy the hips to the floor. Take a moment to arrive to your practice, letting go of anything you have before, anything you have after. Give yourself this time right now. Okay, so we'll begin. Alternate nostril breathing uses your thumb and either your index finger or your middle finger to hold each nostril as you breathe through each one. So you start by placing your right thumb on your right nostril. Empty your lungs. Inhale through the left nostril. Close. And exhale out the right. Inhale through the right. Hold them both closed. Pause. Exhale through the left. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. And it's okay if your pace is not the same as mine. You might even find that the pace changes as you go through. You might notice that one side feels a little bit different than the other. Definitely, you can breathe easier on one side versus the other. Just notice. Observe what's going on. Feel free to leave the eyes open or closed. And just take a few on your own. Take one more round. Finishing off by breathing in through the right. Breathing out through the left. Release. Come back to center. Maybe you need to kind of wiggle your nose a little bit. Breathe in through both nostrils. Notice how your body feels. You might even feel a clearing of the sinuses, a little more open in the face and the body. It's also normal to feel a little bit lightheaded just because you're changing your breath. Just know that's perfectly normal. So you can arrive back to your normal breath. Just kind of observe if anything has changed for you. It might be small, it might be big. This breathing exercise is a wonderful way just to take a moment to connect. You can always do this at any time of the day, not just before a yoga practice or a movement yoga practice, but maybe you take a few minutes at the beginning of your day or at the middle of your day or whenever you need it for a little bit of calming, a little bit of yoga for yourself. Okay, but today we're going to also add on a practice. Good of you start by lying on your back. Long on your back, just a regular savasana. Pause for a moment, and because we're focusing on breath today, feel your chest and your belly rise as you inhale and fall as you exhale. Notice the expansion of your rib cage, the opening up of your chest and your collarbone. And now we'll add some movement. Inhale, bring the arms up over your head and take one full body stretch. Reach the fingers and the toes. On your exhale, relax the shoulders, but keep the arms overhead and heavy into the mat. One more big inhale, reach. Find a little more length in the body, fingers to toes. Exhale, release. Now keep your arms over your head. You're just going to slowly walk your body over towards the right. And then bring your feet over towards the right. Banana pose. It's normally a bit more of a yin posture, meaning that normally we would hold this for longer. Today we're just starting our hatha class by warming up the spine. You might want to grab onto your left wrist, cross your left ankle over your right. Notice this expansion, this opening across the left side of your body, the left side rib cage. You might even imagine your breath moving up and down from the feet all the way to the fingers. Now I know your breath is not actually traveling through, but see if you can just imagine the length of your body and the movement of the breath through. So a lot of times in yoga we say, send your breath here or imagine your breath there. So it's more of a focus on energy. Not like you're taking the oxygen or the air in and putting it directly there, but the oxygen is going there. Just a way to focus your attention inward. Slowly walk yourself back to the center. Pause in the center. Notice how it feels on each side. Then take the other side. Feet over towards the left. Upper body over towards the left. Keep both shoulders and both hips down to the floor. So you're not rolling over onto one side. You're staying flat to the ground. Just focusing on this right side body stretch, lateral flexion of the spine. You might want to hold on to your right wrist. You might cross your right ankle. If that's too much, just uncross it. Your head can turn in any direction. So you might look over your back shoulder. You might look towards your front shoulder. Wherever it naturally goes and heavy into the floor. As you hold for longer, you might find you have a little more room to inch a little bit further. Again, imagine your breath traveling up and down from your feet to the fingertips, and from your fingertips all the way to the feet. Come back to center. Pause in the center with the arms overhead. You might even want another full body stretch. And bring your arms down by your side. Hug your right knee in close. Right knee in nice and tight. Kind of avoid your chest and rib cage, then hug your knee back in. Make sure you're not rolling over onto the right hip, but both hips are grounded down. Both shoulders are down. Pull. You should start to feel a little bit of pressure in your hip crease and your lower abdomen as you pull a little bit more. Release your grip slightly. You might want to take some circles first with your hip, kind of warming up the hip joint. And then eventually you're going to let your right knee come all the way over towards the left. Shoulders stay down, gaze over towards the right. Now your knee might not come all the way over towards the floor, especially because we're just starting. So you'll notice my knee is hovering. If you want, you can place a block or whatever props you have in your house, a textbook or a pillow, whatever it is, to kind of rest your knee there if it feels like it's hanging out in space. You can open up the arms wide and gaze over. You might also want to move a little bit deeper by placing your left hand down onto your knee and allowing it to come a little bit further. Wherever you're going, feel the twist of your spine, warming up, wringing out the spine. Come back to center. Hug the knee in one more time, nice and tight, and then release it long. Notice how each hip feels a little bit different. Hug your left knee in. Nice and tight. Avoid chest and rib cage. Hug back in, shoulders down. Chin in slightly so that the back of your neck is long. And hug in, elbows in close to the body, nice and tight so that you're feeling some pressure in your hip crease, waking up the joint. Release your grip. Take some circles if you need to first. And then slowly guide your left knee over towards the right. Again, you might place your knee on a block, which I like to do. It helps to keep this back shoulder down. You want the shoulders anchored so that your twist is coming from the middle of your back. The whole spine is twisting rather than allowing the body to curl in. Broadening the chest. Maybe you gaze back over towards the left. Slowly come back towards the center. Hug your knee in one more time, nice and tight. And then let it go long. Notice the opening of both hips. Carefully bring both knees up and give yourself a big hug. Lengthen your spine down, back of the head down. Really feel the length of your spine. You're elongating your spine, temporarily eliminating the curvature, the natural curvature of your spine as you lengthen long here. Create some space. And then you can release your grip a bit, take some big circles. Rotating both knees to the right, then both to the left. You might even want to open your knees, take some bigger circles. Change direction. Start to take whatever movement your body is asking for. What do you need right now? Make it up. Maybe you want to just hold. Maybe you want to move a little bit faster. Rock side to side. Feel the massage of the low back as you work here. Once you're even, come back so that the knees are over your hips and your shins are parallel to the floor. We're going to do a little bit of waking up of the core of the body, not just the abs, the whole midsection of your body. It also is a nice low back release. You're going to place both hands on your thighs, press really hard as you exhale, and lengthen your tailbone down to the floor, almost like you're tilting the pelvis up a little more towards the ceiling as you press. On your inhale, release that. Allow the natural curve to come back. So your low back lifts away from the mat. On your next exhale, press the palms into the thighs, lengthen tailbone down, and press. And it seems like you're not doing much, but you might start to feel a little bit shaky in the belly and in the legs. Inhale to release. Exhale, press the palms again, lengthen tailbone down to the floor. Lengthen your spine, engage the core of your body. Inhale to release and hug the knees in. That's it. Roll side to side. Let go. By now you should feel nice and warmed up. We have one more movement of the spine, and that's our forward bend, back bend. First, we'll just rock forward and back. You might take this really slow, so I tend to like to take it a little bit slower. You might want to speed it up. And eventually you'll land down, cross at the ankles, and make your way to a tabletop. From tabletop, cat-cow. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips for your tabletop, flat back. Inhale, lift your chest, tailbone high. Exhale, push into the floor as you round your spine. So you're staying engaged in the arms and the legs, not just sinking down as you move. Really feel the weight of your mat underneath you, or the weight of your body into your mat, rather. And really connect breath to movement. As we move in Hatha Yoga, breath to movement is very important. Every inhale we lift, every exhale press. And the breath in Hatha Yoga is generally Ujjayi breath. It's called ocean breath. So you notice I'm kind of making a sound in my throat to deepen the breath as I breathe in and out through the nose. Okay, so after a few rounds of cat-cow, come back to a tabletop. Walk your hands slightly out in front of you. Shift the hips a little forward, so now you're in a knee plank, a modified plank. Shift forward and lower down to the floor. As controlled as you can, you might end up heavying down at the very end. Hands stay next to your chest. Inhale, squeeze shoulder blades together, lift, baby cobra. Exhale, lower the forehead down. Inhale, lift, baby cobra. Exhale, lower down. Widen your hands, tent up the fingertips, elbows high. Inhale, lift. And exhale, start to take some twists as you come down. Inhale to center. Exhale, dip one shoulder and look up over the opposite shoulder. Take a few rounds of that. And your motion or your range of motion might be different than mine. So you might be staying kind of a little bit lower. You might have even more room to lift up higher. Just listen to your body. Make sure you finish off, so complete your round in the opposite direction that you started. Pause back in the center. Hands under shoulders. Tuck your toes. We're going to make our way back to our first downward facing dog. You might pause in a tabletop first. And then tuck your toes. Lift the hips up high. Spread the fingertips wide and let your head go heavy. Shake it out. Your first downward facing dog, you might have to take some movements. Pedal the feet, shimmy the hips, shake out the head. Maybe bend both knees, rock forward and back, whatever movements make sense to you. Hands are about shoulder width apart, feet are about hip width distance. Press your hands into the floor, not just your wrists. Really spread the fingertips. If at any point downward facing dog is too much, it can be a lot of work, you can do everything from a tabletop. So it's always an option to come back to tabletop. Otherwise, if you have a little bit more work in you, you can press back to down dog. Wherever you are, we're going to make our way to the top of the mat. Come up high on the toes. Little baby steps to the top of the mat. If you're in tabletop, you'll just step. Feel a big stretch in the hamstrings. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift, chest forward. Your knees might have to bend to keep the spine long. Exhale, fold. Widen your feet. Grab onto opposite elbows. Hang in a ragdoll. Belly in, sway side to side. You might want to just hold more static. You might move a little bit faster. Up to you. Bend the knees a lot so that your belly rests on your thighs. So if your hamstrings are a little bit tighter, you might need more room bending so you can come down a little bit further. The focus is to get this big, deep hinge from the hips. Land your hands down, walk your feet close together, root down to the floor, bend your knees, and slowly roll up. Really take your time, nice and slow, so you can feel each vertebra stacking as you make your way to the top of the mat. Nice, shoulders down and back, palms face open, Tadasana. Belly in, chest tall, shoulders back. You might need to rock forward and back to find the sweet spot of balance, right where you're balanced on all four corners of the feet. Notice your breath. Has it sped up to match your heart rate. See if you can slow the breath down. Be a little bit more aware of how the breath is affecting your heart rate and affecting your body. This ocean breath, Ujjayi breath, helps to calm the body down. Nice. Slow half salutation. Inhale the arms up overhead. Extended mountain. Try not to take a big back bend, but rather get nice and tall. Exhale, palms come through the center of your chest. Forward fold. Bend the knees. Belly in, head heavy. Inhale, long spine. Weight forward to the toes, chest forward. Exhale, land the hands. You can sweep the arms up to come up a little bit more. Reach up, extended mountain. Exhale, palms come through the center. Belly in, head heavy. Inhale, flat back, chest forward. Exhale. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, bring the palms to center of the chest. We're going to do a little bit of exercise just so you can see how important the breath is. We're down through the feet. Bring your arms by your side. So now instead of our usual inhale, arms up, I'm going to ask you to exhale the arms up and inhale to bring the arms back down. And you're going to notice how weird that feels. So inhale as you stay here. Exhale to bring the arms up overhead. Inhale to bring the palms through the center. Exhale, arms overhead. Inhale through center. One more. Exhale. Inhale. Pause in the center. Let go of that weird breath. Come back to normal. And so what did you notice as you tried to bring the arms up overhead and exhale is that you don't have much room in your rib cage to expand and to bring your arms up. So again, inhale, arms up. Feel the rib cage expand as you reach up. Exhale. Feel everything come back to the center of the body, grounding down as you come in. So this is why every time we lift up, we inhale, so you have room to expand in the rib cage. And on every exhale, we either come in or we do an action so that you're nice and grounded down. So see if you can notice that as we practice. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, we're going to come into chair pose. Suck your belly in, sit your hips back, chair. So notice as you exhale, you feel really grounded down. You don't have to come very far for your chair pose. I don't usually come very far. Spine is long, belly in. The focus is really sitting back rather than down. So look down at your toes. Make sure you can still see your toes, like your knees aren't coming past. If they are, then just guide them back a little bit further. Arms with the ears. Sit back as you reach forward. Equal opposite directions with the fingertips and your hips. On your next exhale, fold down. Inhale, flat back, chest forward. Exhale, land your hands. Step back to a plank pose. Now that might mean your knees come down. You might be able to have the knees lifted up off the mat. Either way, hands are under your shoulders and your nice flat back. A straight diagonal line from the heels to the crown of your head. We're just going to do one chaturanga. If you like, you can stay on the toes. Otherwise, you're dropping to the knees, shift forward, and lower all the way down to the floor. Tops of the feet to the floor, so flip your feet. Inhale, lift your chest, shoulders back. You might come up high in a higher cobra. You might stay low. You might even be able to lift your knees up off the floor for upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog or tabletop if that's better for you. Spread the fingers wide, slide shoulders down the back body. Engage your arms and your legs. Great. Come up high on your toes. Walk to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, palms come through the center. We're going to take a standing strength sequence, starting with your right foot forward and your left foot back. Right foot forward, left foot comes back to the back of your mat. Bend your right knee, warrior one. Square your hips. Maybe you want to place your hands on your hips to make sure that they are even and parallel. Sit low. Breathe. Press down through the back foot. My front toes are pointing directly in front. My back foot is at a slight angle. And my feet are not in one line. They're a little bit separated enough that both of my hips have room to be stacked. Arms come up. Belly in, lift your chest. How is your breath? Are you holding your breath? Use your breath. Every inhale, find a little more lift. Every exhale, find a little bit more grounding to the floor. That doesn't mean you have to sit lower, but that means that you feel grounded. Nice. Big exhale to open out to the side. Warrior two. You'll widen your feet a little bit. Make sure that your right heel is in line with your left arch. Sit nice and low. Knee over ankle. Right knee over right ankle. Hips forward. Lift your chest. Now we've done this before. Flip the palms. Reach back. Peaceful warrior. Hold. Stay engaged in both legs. So press down through the back edge of your left foot as well as pressing down through the right foot. Exhale, right arm to right thigh. Reach the left arm up, side angle. If you want to extend it, extended side angle, the left arm comes all the way over. Just make sure you're not bringing your shoulder with you. So draw the shoulder down. Don't force it down, but open so that you can open your chest more towards the ceiling. Make sure you're not dumping all of your weight over onto this right side. Stay lifted, belly in. You're using your whole core to stay lifted. A lot of work for the legs. Inhale, flip it back, peaceful warrior. Keep your legs right where they are. Don't move the legs. Exhale, cartwheel your hands to frame your front foot. Step your back foot to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, palms come to the center. Same thing, other side. Left foot forward, right leg back. Warrior one. Square the hips. Bend in the left knee. Knee over ankle. Don't bring all of your weight forward. Make sure you're still pressing with the right leg back. So your center of gravity is right over the hips. Belly in, lift your arms up. Shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, lift from the waist. And exhale, ground to the feet. Even through the back edge of your right foot. Yes. Exhale, open out to the side, widen your feet. Heel in line with the arch. Sit nice and low. Knee over ankle. Open your hips. So notice if your left knee is collapsing in, kind of closing the hips off. See if you can guide it more towards the pinky toe. That might mean you need a shorter stance. So make your adjustments. Shoulders soft. Flip the palms, reach back, peaceful warrior. Continue to keep weight in your left leg. So stay strong in your left leg even though you're reaching over towards the right. Just gently placing your right hand on your back leg. Exhale, come forward. Left arm onto left thigh. Reach right arm up. And then over. If you're extending, then the fingertips are one long line all the way down the side of the body through the back edge of your foot. Stay lifted out of the left rib cage. So notice I was collapsing over. See if you can lengthen a little bit taller. Keep the legs right where they are. Inhale, flip it again. Peaceful warrior. Exhale, cartwheel the hands to now frame the front foot. Now you're closing the hips off as you step your right foot to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, palms to the center. One more standing flow sequence. Just adding on from there. Right foot forward, left foot back, warrior one. Square the hips, chest tall, arms up. Exhale, open out warrior two. Widen your stance. Heel in line with the arch. Both legs engaged. Tall spine. Flip the palms, reach back. Peaceful warrior. We're going to move a little bit faster now that you have the foundation of the sequence. Exhale, right arm to right thigh. Reach the left arm up, maybe over. Shoulder away from your ear. Open your chest to the ceiling. Inhale, flip it back. Peaceful warrior. Exhale, come back through warrior two and straighten your right leg. We're going to take triangle pose. Shift your hips to the left and reach as much as you can to the right, just as much as you can, and vertical the arms. Your right arm lands on your leg, not dumping over. Reach up. So I'm not coming very far. My right hand is on my right thigh. You might have more room to come further. Just make sure you're not rounding over to get there. The key is to keep both sides of the waist long. Nice. And here's another opportunity to use a block or a prop if you have it to place the hand there. Nice. Use the reach of the left fingertips to come all the way back up to center. Now turn your toes to face the front. Hands can come to your hips. Toes turn in slightly. So that kind of allows the hips to give you more room, this internal rotation of the legs, to come down. Now you might not come very far. You might place your hands in a block here. That's fine. You can also really bend your knees in order to bring your chest down a little bit further. So this can be a very big stretch for your legs. If you're tight or if you have anything going on, you might not come as far, and that's fine. If you have room to, you can bring your hands down to the floor. Let your head go. Standing separate leg stretch. You might hold here. You might be able to move a bit. You might have to bring your hands up higher as you move. Take a few breaths. Come back to center. Chest tall. Walk your fingertips all the way over towards the right. Turn your toes. So now the back heel is lifted. You'll step it in just enough that you can place your heel down. Pyramid pose. Now for me in pyramid pose, I need blocks. You might not. But I need blocks, maybe even a little bit higher, in order to keep my hips square. So when we're in this pose, we tend to dump onto one side. And the key is that you want your hips nice and square so the focus can be on this big hamstring stretch in the front leg. Notice my front knee is bent. Some of you might have a straight leg. I need to have mine bent a little bit, again, in order to keep my hips square and to relieve a little bit of strain on my hamstring. And then I'm using the blocks to keep my chest tall. So if I didn't have blocks, I would kind of crunch over and create a lot of compression in the body. And here I have a little more space to expand the chest, to keep the hips square. Draw your right hip back and your left hip forward. Keep pressing through the back heel. So also pressing through that back heel helps to keep the action of the hips, like you're scissoring your legs together. Pyramid pose. From here, I'm going to add a tricky balance pose, so just do what you can. Standing split. If you have blocks, you can keep your hands on the blocks. Roll forward. You can start to bend your knee a little more. And gently, maybe you just tap the toes, or you might be able to lift your legs up. So standing splits, your hands stay a little bit further back, and you can let your head drop down. Now you notice I'm not coming up very high. You might have more room to lift your leg up higher. Be mindful that you're not opening your hip out to the side. You want to keep the hips square, and that might limit your range of motion. That's fine. From here, we can turn this into a warrior 3 if you want to try. Keep your top leg really, really active. Maybe you have a little bend in your front knee, and you can work to lift your hands up off the mat or the block to the center of your chest. And that's okay if you're just kind of tapping a little bit. Maybe you're just lightly floating the fingertips off the blocks. Maybe you can bring the palms together. Try a few times. Notice if you can hold for a moment without holding your breath. Use your breath. When you're ready, step the back foot to the front and switch the legs. So now your left foot is forward and your right leg is back. Just a brief pyramid pose to release that. Step to the top of the mat. Fold. And then sweep all the way up. Palms come to the center. Now we have all of that on the other side, and then we'll slow it down. Left foot forward, right leg back. Warrior 1, arms up. We're going to move a little bit faster, bring the heart rate up more. Exhale, open warrior 2. Widen your stance, heel in line with the arch, hips forward, lift your chest. Flip the palm back, peaceful warrior. Exhale, side angle or extended side angle. Side angle is right up. Extended is to really reach the arm forward, feel more length. Keep the legs where they are, nice and strong. Push to the floor as you move your torso back. Peaceful warrior. Exhale, back to warrior two. Straighten your left leg. Shift your hips a little bit to the right as you reach towards the left. Once you can't reach anymore, then vertical the arms without dipping down further. So this reach is to keep your spine long and then land down. So you might have your hand on your thigh, a block, your shin, your ankle if you're particularly open. I usually stay about here because I really want to keep my spine long. Keep pressing to the back edge of your right foot. Engage your right thigh. Use the reach of your right fingertips to help bring you back up to center. Turn the toes slightly in, and hinge forward. Again, come to blocks if you need to. Bend your knees if you need to. Focus on your spine first. Always want to protect your back. A nice long spine. And breathe. Move around a bit if you need to. Shake the head out if you need to. Take your time. Make your way back to the center. Lift your chest. Walk your fingertips over towards the top of your mat. Turn your toes so the back heel lifts. Then step it in just enough for pyramid pose. Your back heel is down. Both heels are grounded. Take blocks if you need to. Lift your chest. Bend your left knee as much as you need to. Mine might be straighter than yours. You might be in more like a lunge in order to get there. Whatever works. You should feel a big stretch in the back of your left hamstring, even if the knee is bent. Right hip forward, left hip back. Scissoring the legs together to keep the hips square. Use the help of the blocks to push down into the floor. Draw your shoulders back and lengthen through your chest. Only then, once you have length through the spine, you can kind of let your head go a little bit. Breathe. And as we work through the balance, really try not to hold your breath. Shift more weight forward. Maybe you just tap the toes. Maybe you're just hovering the toes on the mat. You might start to be able to lift the toes. You might be able to have height and hold. As you lift the leg, make sure you're not opening your hip out to the side. It's just a different variation of the posture. But today we're keeping the hips closed. Slight internal rotation of the right hip to bring it down towards the floor. Keep this leg really active, whether you're pointing or flexing the toes. It doesn't have to be all the way up to parallel. Mine's not lifted that high. Keep my standing leg nice and strong. Notice if you're locking your knee, so if you're pressing the knee back, and see if you can have a little micro bend. So you're engaging the leg rather than relying on the bone on bone. From here, we can turn this into warrior three by just either floating the hands up. Maybe you land the toes down and just move the hands. You can work on one at a time. If you find a moment where you can float, lengthen through the crown of your head, engage your top leg, and eventually you're parallel to the floor. Don't hold your breath. When you're ready, land your hands, land your feet. Step your left foot back this time, pyramid pose, counter stretch it, feel it nice, release, since we did a lot of loading on that leg. Feet together. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, palms come to center. Notice the heart rate. Definitely up, definitely warmer. We're going to start to slow down. Inhale, bring the arms up. Push your hips to the left, reach over towards the right. You might grab onto the left wrist. So we're kind of redoing banana pose, but standing. Inhales to lengthen. Exhales to push your hips. Notice if your top shoulder, you're crunching over a little bit. See if you can bring the top shoulder back more so that your chest is open and broad. Back to center. Hips to the right. Reach over towards the left. Again, you can grab onto your right wrist if you want a little bit more. Belly in, so you're not back bending, you're nice and tall. Push the hips. Back through center. Now we'll take a back bend. Lift up out of the waist and reach back. Back bends are all about spine extension, lengthening rather than just dumping back. Find lift. Maybe you even need to lengthen your tailbone down slightly to give you a little more room in the lumbar spine, the lower spine. Exhale, let it go, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, land your hands, step back to a tabletop, and then press back to child's pose. Knees together or wide, whatever feels best for you. So for you, having the knees wide might feel better. For me, having them together is better. Listen to your body. If your knees are together and you want a little rest for the shoulders, you can bring the hands back behind you. Embryo pose, let them fold forward. Breathe. And slowly walk yourself up. And take a moment to come to your back. Sweep the legs out in front of you. Scooch forward if you need to. Lie all the way down to the floor. Notice how you feel here. I'm going to we did a lot of stretching for the inner hips, the inner thighs, in all of our standing postures, but we're just going to stretch the outer hips a bit. Cross your right leg over your left, and then bring your knees up. Now that might already be enough for you just to have the knees up. You can also grab onto your shins and start to pull your feet towards you. It's almost like you have two handlebars. If you have room, you can grab the outer edges of the feet. You might have to curl up to get them and pull. You're not forcing the stretch, you're rather allowing gravity to pull. So your arms are kind of loose, but with this grip on your feet, gravity is opening up the outer legs. Slowly release. You might want to move a little bit between the sides and then cross your left leg over your right. Grab the outsides of your legs, maybe the outsides of your feet. Again, it's okay if you just need to hang and not pull anywhere, not hold anywhere. You can just grab the bottom, underneath your thighs. Otherwise, grab the tightest grip you can or the furthest grip you can and breathe. Feel where you're feeling this stretch. On your exhales, see if you can open up just a little bit more. And slowly release. Come back to center. Sway your knees side to side. You might want to take a twist on each side briefly. Just to wring it out. Eventually, make your way to Savasana. Give yourself time, any other extra poses you might need. For this Savasana, I want you to place your hands on your belly. Kind of just so that your fingertips are just grazing one another. So that on your inhales, you feel the belly expand, and your fingertips are to spread a little bit apart. On your exhale, as the belly sinks, your fingertips touch. It's just a way to really feel it rather than visualizing the belly expand and collapse. Eyes open or closed. Heels together, toes fall open. Allow the whole back side of your body to heavy into the floor. Every inhale, expand the belly and the chest. Exhale, let them fall. And notice you don't have to do much to let this happen. You're just deepening your breath. And each time your mind might wander as you lay here, see if you can bring it back to the breath, back to the sensation of your belly and your chest rising and falling. For the last moment of your Savasana, you can keep your hands here, or you might want to completely let them go by your sides. And forget about the motion of the breath and just be. Wherever you are, start to make little movements in the head, the fingers, the toes, maybe bigger, the wrists, the ankles, the neck. You might want to take a full body stretch. You might want to hug the knees in. You might want to roll over onto one side. Eventually make your way to a seat. Same way we started. Eyes open or closed, shoulders relaxed. Allow yourself a final moment to notice, observe this mind-body-breath connection that you have cultivated throughout your practice. Aiming to carry this connection with you, your practice with you, for the rest of your day. Thank yourself for your practice, for giving yourself this time, being present. And I thank you for sharing your practice.